So we're ready?
Perfecto.
Perfecto. Okay. All right. Okay. So welcome to Southern Perspective. This is episode 11. This is a debrief with context of South Glengarry's March 9th and 23rd, 2026 council meetings. So today on Southern Perspective, we sit down with Mayor Lachlan, McDonald to unpack the March 9th and 23rd South Glengarry Council meetings. So it included some agricultural zoning adjustments, some expanded library services, which I found sort of interesting, community programming, fee waivers, a proposed indoor firing range, and also had the infrastructure tenders and so forth, so forth. So we're welcome, Lachlan. Okay.
Yeah.
You seem to have had a lot on your plate over the last few meetings, right?
Yes, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So from what I've seen, yeah, and sort of allocated them reasonably well. So,
Yep.
All right. So let's start with zoning amendments. You told me that you brought a cheat sheet.
Yes, I did.
It's good. So agricultural parcel split by the Raisin River, correct?
Yes.
So there was you reviewed a zoning amendment to reduce the minimum lot size on agricultural parcel physically divided by the Raisin River, while maintaining a prohibition on residential construction. So, how this physical separation of this property by the Raisin River justify sort of reducing that lot size? What was the context of this?
Yeah, there's not like a big story here. It was already an exception initially. Like we have ag, I think it was exception 16,
Okay.
and we just made ag exception 40. Same everything, just smaller. So we were just letting it keep doing the same thing, and we're allowing for the lot to be just smaller to do it. And I think that supports our agriculture. It supports us to be able to do agriculture on a smaller amount. So it was a simple yes from council, that one.
So this was a lot sort of bordering the Raisin River, or?
Yes, the Raisin River runs through it, and so but it backs onto it. And sometimes, I don't know if this lot specifically, but there are lots we have where the South Branch in particular, going to Cornwall,
Okay.
will cross and dissect a lot. So you'd have your old county squares or lots that it goes through it. So I don't think that was this case. I think it just backed onto it.
Okay. So the SDNG library, you had a presentation, sort of Maker Lab and expanded services. So you receive a presentation highlighting services across Lancaster, Williamtown, and Glen Walter libraries that included the Maker Lab, 3D printers, and digital tools. So how are the services like Maker Lab changing the role of these libraries, and can individuals actually go to the library and 3D print? Or?
Yeah, so I'm also on the library board, so good person to ask this question too, and I'm a massive fan. So that presentation was wonderful. So that's Rebecca Luck, the CEO of the library. It's a little different, it operates just outside the counties, and the numbers prepared are wonderful, as you saw. More patrons, more use, but specific to your question about 3D printing, there is a Maker Lab in Finch. So that's where most of that is. Those equipments are. They do bring like a Cricut. There's a few of those that are roaming. I believe there's one that is stationed in Alexandria.
Okay.
But yes, you can go to the library and at least inquire about doing it in Finch. And I think you can sometimes send it to Finch to be done, but you can certainly always go to Finch for the Maker Lab. They have 3D printing. I mean, it's small things, but like button making, book mending machine. Like they have all sorts of fun toys. The library is more than books, I think, is what I want to drive at. There's the library of things. You can borrow a ukulele. So if you have a kid out there who's interested in a guitar and you don't want to spend the money on the guitar, get them rent them or borrow a guitar for a week, and maybe they'll take to it, maybe they won't. And you have all those things. There's board games as well. If with your library card, you can get access to many newspapers and magazines. So it's kind of a nice spot to get a lot of things. And I mean, if you want to try a magazine and then purchase it later, it's a nice way to dip your toe into many different things.
So what I'm hearing from you is that the library services are sort of changing. There's a not so much of an evolution, but sort of a redirection as to what libraries are defined as.
Yes. It's not just books and online books or ebooks. It is really library of things now. As I said, like You can borrow a Super Nintendo if you
Really?
Yeah, and with the not the old version, but the new version, but it has all the games and it plays like it is. I got married last year and I bought it for the days before marriage just because, whenever after you're set up, my friends would sit down and we play Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo. So it's kind of fun.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems to me that I have here there's an increased infrastructure, sort of recreational infrastructure use in South Glengarry, sort of putting forth sort of a demand versus capacity. There's a lot of things going on. So with this increased demand for facilities such as the Charlotte Arena, are the current facilities keeping up with demand, or are you starting to see some capacity issues right now?
I think it's that after school to 9 o'clock, there's
Okay.
some crunch there, much like ice surfaces. But I think we're talking about the hall and generally fee waiver requests. So we have a lot of groups, and in particular this year. So yes, we're keeping up.
Yeah.
One thing you'll see this year is we are renovating our arena. So I know, like, say, the McCullough dancers might reach out to like the St. Andrew's United Church and use their hall. So I'd say like maybe our facilities are at or near capacity. I mean, I'd always inquire. But there are also, like, St. Mary Center and St. Andrew's, Cheapers Keepers, Irvin Hall. There's other halls where smaller groups can go. So I don't think like our communities are at capacity, but like our facilities are being well used. Yes.
Okay. The Arcane Defense proposals. This is an indoor firing range.
Yes.
So council held a public meeting on a proposal to convert a former salvage yard into a recreational commercial facility with an indoor firing range. So this is new to the area, I guess.
Yes.
So what were the consistent concerns raised by residents during this particular meeting, and what aspects of the proposal still require clarification before council can make a decision on this?
Okay, this one might take a moment. I should have brought my other book because I was doing some counter research just to see like because things can be presented, and
Yeah.
I think Thoreau said it. Like you take the words of another man, but not at the absence of my own.
Okay.
So I heard all of the complaints or concerns. It's not fair to say complaints because they are legitimate concerns, and you read them, and some of them are tested. You can say this. So the biggest concerns that I recall just offhand would be like safety, increased traffic, increased noise, concern for values of property, change of the area.
Is this is this proposed to be?
I believe it's Fourth Line Road at our very north end. So like 10th concession, it's really just south of North Glengarry. It's like
Okay.
10th concession on the east side is our borderland.
Okay.
So it is really going to be 200 meters south of North Glengarry.
Okay.
So it's up there, and it's
But it says it's an indoor.
yeah, and they do a box within a box design,
Okay.
and it's supposed to give 12 decibels, which is the equivalent to somebody whispering.
I know that's not very much.
Or even they said at the highest, like rakes being
yeah.
being sorry, not rakes
Reaped.
being leaved, leaves being raked.
Okay.
So on the noise side, I think there's like not comfort with that, but that number like it wouldn't be felt. There's also concern that if we allow an indoor one, an outdoor one is subsequent to come. But this specific zoning amendment would only allow indoor. It would have to be another decision of a future council for an outdoor one. And like one thing that I found an interesting thought was it's already zoned as a salvage yard, which is louder than an indoor shooting facility.
Okay.
It hasn't been used for years, but it could be as of tomorrow. So I feel like this is actually taking away a bigger concern to me noise-wise. And then there would be more traffic, more people, and safety concerns for certain individuals that came up. Yeah, I don't think there's much left to be clarified from council. Our biggest concern, as I heard from council, was if we do this, are we setting a precedent to have an outdoor one? And it's a no there, and that gives me some peace because the indoor facility personally does make a lot more sense than an outdoor facility would give me pause.
Yeah. Okay. So if I mean the two would not be related at all if a proposal for an outdoor one would come along.
It would be a whole new
Totally.
zoning change, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not approving one and allowing both. We're
Yeah.
approving one and allowing one.
Totally different proposal.
Correct.
Okay. So an asset management software, I'm pretty sure that's in your wheelhouse, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So council approved the implementation of of municipal asset management software to improve tracking, forecasting, and long-term infrastructure planning.
Yes.
So how does this software work, and what gaps in the township's current software made this new software necessary?
Okay, so like I'm heavily biased on this one, so you're going to get my opinion on this. Whenever I did it formally, as you said, it's my wheelhouse. Like I like to use Excel spreadsheets, and they get cumbersome sometimes. So I think that's the gap, is the ability to really put your information in and have it usable for everybody. And then once you do that, then you can share it with your other departments. So that's the gap, is the other departments weren't using it. It was very much a finance thing. But whenever you're trying to invest in, say, a fleet replacement schedule, that can now go in here. And then the ideal world would be setting up, how much we need to invest to be sustainable, so that we tax appropriately. We don't run into, we have no money, let's replace something with debt. Let's build it into taxation so it's, a flat and probably ever increasing taxation, because I don't think have you ever seen taxes go down?
No.
Okay, so as long as we know that's the world, is like it's flat. You don't have a year where you need to spend way too much or way too little. You're prepared. So it would be to do that. It is somewhat expensive, but the ongoing, that's the implementation, the ongoing cost is considerably
Is it sort of a software as a service where it has to be renewed every year?
Yes, yeah. I think it's in $4,000 to $7,000 a year range to keep it. Software as a service. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I've got a premonition. Things ain't gonna go my way. It's gonna break me down. Yeah, it's taking me day by day. I've got a bad feeling creeping up and down my spine. You're gonna leave me, honey, 'cause it's weighing heavy on my mind.
So, road work. So 530. You said you were spending a lot of money, right?
Yes.
So $530,000 for granular overlay.
Yes.
So council awarded $530,000 contract for granular overlay road work as part of the 2026 maintenance program. So, which roads will be benefiting from this program? Which one have been sort of selected, and does this type of maintenance sort of help extend the life of these particular roads, or?
Yes, yeah. So I can't tell you which ones, because we kind of pick quadrants, and I don't exactly recall, but I think last year we did the north side of 18.
Okay.
So we don't apply it specifically to our road. We try to hit every road every 5 to 7 years with 5 to 7 inches.
Okay.
And that's kind of our method. So we'll say many roads will benefit from this, and we'll hope it gets rid of many of our pothole issues. But if I can ask the audience, or
Yeah.
in the spring and the fall, please know that the conditions, whenever roads get wet, they get potholy, and we try to keep up with them. But it is the nature of rural roads sometimes.
Well, I tell folks, I said, if you think our roads are bad, go for a drive in Montreal.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good. I like that. I like that take. Yeah.
That's as they go in and just watch you don't just bottom out.
Yeah.
But
One thing about that, though, we did have to. The prices came in a little higher. So I think there was 35,000 tons, or 3,500, or 35,000 tons we were looking to buy. So we had to cut it by 1,500 tons to meet budget for that particular item, just because the prices were a little bit higher than we thought they would be. So.
Yeah. Okay. So you had a land transfer tax resolution.
Yes.
That you supported a resolution advocating for land transfer tax adjustments for first-time home buyers.
Yes.
So why was this important to basically support this, and how does this sort of adjustment work?
Okay. I don't know all the math. It was a lawyer who was also deputy mayor of South Stormont, Andrew Gaindo, who brought this forward to his council. We supported it. But the crux of it is the value that they apply is low. Like the average house is more expensive than that. And because of that valuation, you're only able to get $4,000 off. This will double it to $8,000. It just recognizes the reality that houses have gone up pretty high, like
Well, yeah, no,
50% since 2020, we'll say.
Yeah.
So it's nice to match that with the first-time home buyers credit.
Okay. So as a final point, Okay, and we did pretty good today, right?
Yes, yeah, thank you.
So I don't know, especially that little sheet here helps a lot, right?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So governance, remuneration. I love that word.
Yeah.
Remuneration and delegation of authority. So you reviewed routine governance items, including remuneration reports and updates to delegations of authority bylaws. It sort of defines what staff can do without
Yes.
direct council approval. So were there any specific changes done to that particular sort of remuneration and delegation of authority?
Okay, so the remuneration, we do apply standard inflation, subject to be bound by 1% to 3%. That's included in the budget every year. So this year I think it went up 2.3%.
Okay.
You'll note on there, I believe with conferences paid back, my remuneration is near 50,000. I think base would be around 39.
Okay.
So if anybody's interested, I think open to apply for the position of mayor as of May 1st. But nothing much has changed on our remuneration over the last several years. We still get $1,000 for comms, we get $1,000 for mileage, and then we have a base rate and get reimbursed for conferences we go to, dollar for dollar. On the restricted action, I wrote that one. So if we have less than 4 members possible to come back as of May 1st, and then again, that same thing applies as of October 26th, whenever the election is, or the 4th Monday of October. We can't appoint or remove officials, hire or dismiss any employee. We cannot dispose of any property of 50,000 or spend or make any corporate liability for greater than 50,000. So we're really.
So it's when at what date is this, or that you can't do this? Or?
I think I said May 1st. I think it is as of. I think it's August 21st this year, plus or minus, the nomination day.
Okay.
So if there's less than 4 council members who can win, so say that.
They call it a lame duck council.
Exactly. So if we had 2 councillors coming back, 1 not, and then say the mayor and I, or deputy mayor and I run both for mayor, that would be lame duck because only 3 have the possibility of coming back.
Okay.
And these are called restricted acts. So it basically limits the power of council, so they can't go buck wild whenever they don't really have a mandate left anymore.
Okay. So, but this doesn't change sort of as routine for staff decisions and whatnot. That doesn't really sort of fall into this.
No, the staff can still follow their things. Most of your spending is done through the budget, so the approval's already there through passing the budget. It'd be new things that come up, right? So if we had like one of these tenders that we spoke about, say granular was, what was it, $300,000 to $400,000, we can still buy that if it's in the budget, but if administration came to council and said we want to do a new thing at that price, we could not enter into it. We would have no authority to do so.
Okay. All right. Okay. Makes
Yeah.
sense. So big picture, right? So looking at March, it seems that there was a lot of different things that came up. You were tested on a few different things that, the firing range, and there's certain sort of like comes out something new every time, right? That
yes.
you have to. Oh, there's one thing I didn't touch on, the exotic animal bylaw.
Oh yes, you saw that in
Okay.
the newspapers, I'm sure too.
Yes, and I wanted to touch on that. So this primate exemption,
Yes.
the request was denied. So you formally denied the request to permit the rescued primates on a residential property. It was citing concerns that public safety, liability, animal welfare, and sort of. So what were the key factors that led council to basically say we're not going to approve this?
Okay, we were a little bit silent on that one in the discussion when we took the decision, so I can't speak for everyone in this one. I know we just followed the laws we had. Like as a whole council, we followed the laws we had, which is it's not an acceptable use of land.
Yeah.
So we just maintain that stand. I said the lot is presently within the village of I believe Glennorman, and also the lot is it's not a large lot, so I kind of felt like it wasn't the right place for it personally, and I mean that's standard with our language too, right? So and even there's a whole bunch of legislation greater than us which discourages bringing in exotic animals or breeding exotic animals here. So,
Yeah.
so I suppose we followed the rules that are above us with not much conversation.
So did council consider any form of approval, or you found that it was, and for lack of a better term, a little sketchy and not necessarily within your mandate to approve this?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think she cares for animals well, so I won't say sketchy just because I don't want to be rude to. But I know
for
you
lack
mean,
of a better
for
term,
lack of a better word. But
Yeah.
yeah, we are saying like greater governments and other governments say no to this, so we're going to follow that line.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. Okay, so we'll go back to our big
picture, yeah.
Our big picture. So so there was, there's still like developmental sort of development pressure, and there's a lot of. It seems that you are getting a lot of public input from and people are coming out to sort of voice their opinions on different things. So how can you describe the current moment in South Glengarry politically? And also not necessarily politically, but sort of as administratively.
Yeah, I would say it's starting to feel like an election year.
Oh, really?
A little bit, just because
Well, put a pin in that. We'll just come back in a second. Okay.
in that people are like the people sometimes can be strategic in their timing to come to council, because all of a sudden you get a few more comments saying like, well, I won't vote for you if, and like you can't govern that way. But the big thing would be democracy is alive in South Glengarry. We're glad to have the conversation. We may disagree on certain things. Council may disagree with your specific opinion, but we're trying to do the greatest amount of good for the most amount of people for the longest duration, which unfortunately does make certain pockets at certain times feel a little bit unheard. But we are listening. We may not agree, but democracy is alive. And I enjoy that we have the development. I enjoy we have the public meetings. I would reform that position if I was a member of Ontario legislation, because that's where that process comes. But we follow it, and great to be South Glengarry,
Yeah, no, I don't doubt it. So to pull that pin out of the political, the election thing, you mentioned May, I guess May 1st is the opening of the nominations.
And I hope I have that. Maybe it's May 31st, but it's in May.
In and around that area. So, can I ask, have you discussed it with your better half, where if you are considering running again, or are there some factors that would make it yes, no, maybe, or?
Well, there are always factors that can make it yes, no, maybe, and I guess the annoying political answer, and you'll ask me probably every month until I give you one, is like, nothing's been decided, nothing's off the table. I still haven't spoke to the, say, 5 to 10 people that I think I want to speak to.
Okay.
In the community quietly to get their thoughts on it. I know Casey, that's the other better half. She has her thoughts on it. She said, I'm glad to do it if you want to. So the home front's happy to do it. The home front's also happy not to do it if I chose not to.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, so is there anything else you want to touch on? Look at the list.
Yeah, look at my list. Did I miss anything? No.
Because this is your time.
My time?
Yeah, this is.
Well, I guess I could tell Jamie that South Glengarry is still the reigning champion of best of Glengarry, but I haven't fired a shot at him recently, so that's a very
well, he was in this morning, so unfortunately, you're lucky for you, he won't be able to fire a shot back at you.
Yeah, it was a very soft shot. He's so good at it, so I'm sure he thinks North Glengarry is better, but we are Glengarry strong, so it's good.
He took a shot at his uncle this morning.
So wonderful, yeah.
So that was all good. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in. Always a pleasure to have you on, and always a pleasure to have these discussions. Hopefully we can do it for still longer, and who knows, maybe, as you say, you will run or not. We can continue to do this, but for the time being, I really enjoy our chats.
Well, thank you. Me too.
So we want to remind the public that putting this together is a job, and we are also looking for help in in sort of manning the cameras, or doing some volunteer work, even doing some switching, coming in and helping out if you want to do it. That's always greatly appreciated. We do have some volunteers that are coming in. We're also looking for some patrons, some sponsors to help with this, and for some folks who have some potential content, who say, well, this would be kind of cool. This is very Glengarry. So we're looking for folks who want to step up and say, come in and see the studio and say, I would like to help contribute to saying this is my Glengarry. So if you want to be a host or even have an idea, reach out to us. Watch for us on social media as we sort of put out once we've put these podcasts out there, so to remind people that to go out and listen to them. We're happy to say that our views are equal, if not more, than what you're actually getting on the YouTube, your YouTube views. Yeah. So it's a bonus for us. So people like these synopsis. So so it does make a difference. So thanks again to Mayor Lachlan for coming in. As I said, always a pleasure. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to pound that subscribe
yes,
button.
yeah.
Okay, and we will see you next month.
Well, thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.